We're back here in the filming studio. I'm joined by Vincenzo for another episode of The Clinical Dose. Vinny,
yes,
we have another 5 questions that have come through Instagram once again. Man, let's just fire them straight up. Let's get straight into them.
Let's do it. So the first one, how do you separate friendship and being the boss when dealing with employees? Ooh. From Vastist_B.
Nice little fitness, nice little business question there for us to start off this episode of The Clinical Dose. That is probably more directed to me, but I'm interested to get your input.
Well, definitely directed towards you.
Yeah.
But I guess everyone has to know their kind of role and what they're working for.
Yeah.
I mean, in a business, you always have your superior. And if you can't, then you're probably either in the wrong role or doing it for the wrong purposes. Yeah, and I think there just has to be a clear line, like consider your friend, but you're still my boss in the end, so I still have to do as I'm told, with the company's interest in mind.
It's a question that's particularly pertinent to the MassiveJoes business because of the company culture, which is funny because it leads into one of the future questions that we're going to answer in this episode. But I think if you have a company culture that's set up where relationships between employees are encouraged, that's generally going to tend towards people becoming friends and friendships being built. And the friendships may be, amongst employees who are kind of in the same level as a business, and then they may go vertically as well. So friendships between bosses and employees, as you mentioned, superiors, so on and so forth. And I think really the best way to separate that is to firstly have a good understanding of each other's position in the business.
Definitely.
So, the boss needs to know that the boss is the boss and the employee needs to know that the employee is the employee. Have respect. In both directions as well. So it needs to work not just from the employee having respect for the superior or the boss, but the boss has to have respect for the employee as well. Because, sometimes friendships can be taken advantage of in both directions.
Definitely.
The employee may take advantage of the friendship in the boss's direction, but then the boss as well, it's very easy to start blurring lines and start to take advantage of the friendship in the other direction, perhaps not treat that person the way that you would treat a different employee for good or for worse. So I think that, just being able to very clearly define that and go, you know what, because of this company culture, we do want this sort of, friendships to be built and relationships to be built between different employees, between bosses and employees, so on and so forth. But this is where we draw the line. We have to have respect for each other. And when push comes to shove, we're not going to take advantage of the friendship in either direction. And it all comes down to communication, really. It comes down to candor and communication. Next question.
Cool. So, running on from that, how do you get the right culture with your business? From Will Ryan Health.
Yeah, so this is a good one. I'm interested to get your opinion.
My opinion?
On this from your perspective, because I have a way that I have purposely tried to steer the culture of this particular business that I think is a good way of answering this question, but I'm interested to know what you think.
So a few different things. I mean, hiring people, especially with different personalities as well. So you want a group of people with different personalities that are going to be able to kind of work well together. Is going to be one, can be friends, but in that still have the same interests and the interests of what the company is trying to achieve. Has to be the main thing. So health and fitness is one, providing kind of benefits to other people as well is something else that we look for here. And just kind of everyone kind of has to have those same interests, which is a big part in towards kind of, because then everyone wants to go out and train together like we do our common trains and stuff like that. Everyone wants to come and join in with those. And it's just going to set that culture as that friendship kind of base, but then still getting shit done.
I think from my perspective, and I agree with everything that you've said, I think from my perspective, there's 3 main elements to creating a culture. The first one, Will has asked the question here, how do you get the right culture with your business? The first one is to define what your business culture looks like. What do you want the culture of your business to look like? Do you want your business environment and therefore the culture within the business to be, very strict? Do you want it to be laid back? Do you want employees to develop relationships with each other? Do you want people to clock in at 9 a.m. and clock out at 5 and not talk to each other? Like what does that actually look like? like. That's the first element, is be very specific about what the right culture for your organization or your company or your business or whatever it is, what you actually want that to look like. Then how do you actually start developing that culture once you've identified it? I think the first and probably the most important is the leaders in the business need to lead by example. So if you're trying to create a culture, but the leaders in the business who everyone else in the business looks up to for direction and inspiration and motivation and just general leadership are not practicing that culture, you're going to have a big problem right from the start.
Definitely.
So I think that the leaders within the business need to, through their actions, so actions always speak louder than words, need to embrace and act upon the culture that you want to develop for your organization. Then the third part is the employees, the people that you hire. A big part of your hiring process, of your qualification process, needs to be, are these people going to fit into this culture? Are they going to be able to adapt and embrace the culture of the organization? A lot of the time, you're not going to know until they start. And then we can start talking about, you need to be very quick to remove people from the organization who don't fit the culture. And we've had multiple examples of that in the MassiveJoes business, where hiring somebody, that's a big part of the hiring process, is, we go, we think that their personality is going to fit, their character is going to fit, they're going to embrace the culture, they're going to adapt to it. They start 3 months in, it's pretty obvious that they're clocking in at 9 and clocking out at 5, and we still have standing jokes about it. And it's time to move them out of the business because they just don't align with the culture. So I think those are the 3 most important things. Define what the right culture is, lead by example, make sure all of your leaders and all of your superiors in the business are leading by example, and then make sure that you're hiring people who are able to embrace that culture. And if they are not able to embrace that culture, as soon as that becomes prevalent, you need to remove them from the business. Next question.
Should I cycle Laxogenin, and is there any benefit to increasing dosages? Josh Morton, PT.
Both you and I have had a lot of practical experience with Laxo.
Use this one.
Look, man, I haven't cycled Laxo at all. I've been using Laxogenin for the better part of 4 years. Three, 4 years now.
Yeah, it's probably 3 or 4 since it came out.
You haven't cycled either?
No.
Do you want to elaborate on that? Why you think that you don't need to cycle it?
Mainly, Laxogenin doesn't work through a hormone pathway. And therefore, in my opinion, there's no real need to cycle it. It's not going to have any detrimental effect on those hormones, which would usually be suppressed or something like that if they get a test booster, which you should be cycling. So there's no real need. And if I can get the benefits of Laxogenin, I'm going to take them.
I think the best way to think about this, because we do kind of get questions about, do you need to cycle this particular type of product, pre-workouts, fat burners, hormone supplements, and the best way to kind of think about, whether or not a particular ingredient needs to be cycled or not be cycled. If a particular ingredient has the effect of upregulating receptors, whether they be stimulant receptors, hormone receptors, any receptors in the body, so they're having an upregulatory effect, so they're putting stress on those receptors, you're probably going to need to cycle them. That's why we say, anything with stimulants in there, anything that, boosts testosterone is a big one as well, are things that you need to cycle, because if you upregulate a receptor and you continue to upregulate, the receptor's not going to be able to receive the message as efficiently, so you're going to need to take more and more of the product to get the same effect. And that's probably the most prevalent with stimulant-based products. When you first take a scoop of pre-workout, it blows your head off. Then you get a month in, you're taking a scoop and a half to get the same effect. 2 months in, you're taking 2 scoops. 3 months in, you're taking 3, and it just doesn't feel the same. Because your stimulant receptors are not able to do as much with the same amount of the ingredient. Those are the sorts of ingredients that you need to cycle. Everything else, I kind of think of them as like food. So if someone's like, do I need to cycle Laxogenin, which doesn't upregulate any receptors? I'm like, well, would you cycle chicken?
No.
Would you cycle it's just, it's a dietary supplement that's sourced from, at some stage, a different source of food. There's no reason to cycle it.
Definitely.
So I'm exactly the same with you. What about the dosage?
It's dependent. We're seeing subs come out with up to 200 milligrams of Laxo, and I mean, dosages started at 25, 50 milligrams and stuff when they first came out.
Yeah.
So all the evidence is anecdotal at the moment. So I guess people are just trying to throw more in there and see what happens.
See what happens. That's exactly right.
I think the best thing to do is to take it, maybe try a few different dosages and see what's going to work best for you.
Yeah.
If I personally take, at the moment, taking what it's called now?
Bolic.
Bolic, yeah. And that's 100 milligrams. So I actually take half the serve per day. So I take 100 milligrams of Laxo, and I find that works fine for me. Yeah. I've taken the full dose, didn't see any different benefits at 200.
And you know what, man? I'm exactly the same. When Creation came out with Laxopure, I messed around with the dosages just to see what happens.
Yeah.
So I went, as low as like 25 milligrams a day, and then as high as like 250 milligrams a day.
Yeah.
And I found, for me, the sweet spot with dosing was about 1 milligram per kilogram of lean body weight per day.
Yeah.
So my lean body weight is around about 100 kilos, give or take, depending on, how far I am into a grow season or contest prep. So I take 100 milligrams a day.
Yeah.
And I've found that yields the best results. If I take 50 milligrams, the results are not as good. If I take 250 milligrams, there's not really much difference.
Yeah.
So that's what I found, 1 milligram per kilogram of body weight, which for you, it kind of sounds...
I'm about 85 kilos lean.
Similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next question.
Since only training with light weights at the moment or bands, not heavy, should I adjust my carb percentage from Eola Star 74?
Yolanda. Good question.
There we go. It depends. I mean, because with light weights and bands, you can still get the same amount of volume and a high intensity still workout.
Yeah.
So your workout could be much more kind of functional than kind of heavy base resistance training than what it was, and still be burning the same amount of calories, if not more.
Yeah.
So it really depends on what your workouts are looking like at the moment. If you find your intensity slowed down, not lifting as much, not putting as much strain, then probably, you're not burning as many calories, and overall those calories should probably be dropping out of carbs.
Yeah, and I think that's the best way to frame the question. Yola here has said carb percentage. I think that the way that you answered it is the perfect way to answer it, is look at your overall caloric intake based on your overall caloric output.
Yeah.
If you're not training as intense, regardless of, if you're training with bands or body weight or the weights are lighter, or the intensity of the workout is what matters.
Yeah.
If you're not burning as many calories in a 24-hour period and you're not trying to get fat, effectively, you need to look at your caloric intake. If you need to bump your caloric intake down, you should probably keep your proteins and fats where they're at and drop those calories from carbs. Next question.
Are there any ideas you have to bring to the fitness industry in the future? T8 McGregor.
Ooh, I don't know how much of this we can talk about.
Yeah.
Good things. Good things. I got lots of ideas.
I'd be concerned if you didn't.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I think you're going to just see a lot of these kind of fitness industries adapt and potentially take on different kind of industries as well, and almost combine themselves with different kind of opportunities that are there now.
The way that I kind of look at it is to be completely honest, I'm not a very novel creative type person.
Yeah,
so I'm not really, a new ideas type person where I'm like, I could automatically pop new ideas into my head and I'm like, that hasn't been done, let's go and explore that. And I guess the reason for that is there's not a whole lot of them. A lot of things that people have had ideas about are being done already. The way I like to think of it is I look at the way things are being done, and if I see the opportunity to do them better or more efficiently, or to bring two different things together to innovate effectively, that's where I kind of find my opportunity. So I'm not really, are there any other ideas, as in new ideas to bring to the fitness industry? That's not really my forte, so to speak. It's not really what I'm good at, to be honest.
Yeah.
What I am good at is seeing the way that people are doing things, going, not really impressed by that. That can be done better, and that's effectively how I built the MassiveJoes business. Is on the back of that, is taking things that have been done pretty poorly and doing them much better.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's a whole bunch of things that we're pursuing as a business at the moment, but I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Vince, that's it.
Beautiful.
That's the 5 questions.
That's the 5.
There you go, guys. Another episode of the Clinical Dose done and dusted. As always, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to the MassiveJoes YouTube channel. Turn your post notifications on both on your mobile, your cell phone, and your desktop PC, so you don't miss a beat when it comes to the MassiveJoes YouTube channel. Vince, thank you once again, man, for being a part of this episode of the Clinical Dose. Until next time, where we coming to and from, man?
MassiveJoes.com.
Stay massive. Thank you for tuning in to this video. We hope you enjoyed watching. Don't forget to check out our latest upload and our recommended video, and be sure to subscribe to the MassiveJoes YouTube channel to stay up to date with all of our latest uploads.